Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the Malmquist calculator. And let me just do a quick screen share here so everybody can see what I'm doing. And there we go. Okay, you'll recognize this screen as one of the MLAW screens. And here's our drop-down menu, and we'll just select Momquist Calculator. And it brings up this program. Now, the Momquist calculation is probably one of the more complex calculations that needs to be done in family law. But in this case, that's why we created this program, to make it that much simpler. There's still some data that has to be gathered prior to doing the calculation, but I'm going to run through each of these blocks and boxes to show you exactly how to do this calculation. We're going to start with the case title, and in this case, we're just going to call it Jones v. Jones. Pretty simple. Our client's name is Robert Jones. He's also the person that purchased the home prior to the marriage, so that we can do a calculation to find out exactly how much of this home is owned as sole and separate property and how much of it is community property. So the marriage date, we're going to say today that they got married on 1/1/2015. Okay. As far as the divorce date, we'll look at that. We're going to say that they got divorced on 5/18/2021. Okay. Now the down payment separate funds. These are the funds that Robert paid to purchase this home prior to the marriage. So in this case, we're going to say that he put $5,000 down on this house. The next block is down payment and community funds. If there were any community funds used as a down payment, we would put this in here. If the house was refinanced during the marriage, you're going to have to do two calculations, one at the time the house was purchased up to the point of the refinance, and then one from the refinance on, and then combine those two calculations. It does make it more complicated if there's been a refinance. We're going to say that this house has not been refinanced. So in this case, we're going to say there was no community funds used as a down payment. Case length, this is just that you can reference the case itself. In this case, we're going to use the case number, and we're going to say it's case D-21-1234556-D. And that just gives us a reference to this particular case. So we save that, we go on to the next. We go to what was the original home cost? What was the purchase price of this house? And in this case, we're going to say it was $225,000. And then what's the loan balance? If you recall, we did say that he put $5,000 down. So we're going to say that it's $220,000 was the original loan balance. Now, the principal reduction pre-marriage, this is Bob making payments on a monthly basis. How much did the principal go down? Not the total amount of payments, just the principal that went down prior to the marriage. In this case, we're going to say that he made enough payments where the principal dropped by $18,250. After he got married, they continued to make payments on this house, and they reduced the principal yet again by another $20,000. Okay, we click the next button. And how many actual mortgage payments were made pre-marriage? We're going to say that there were 36. And post-marriage, how many payments were made? And we're going to say 40. All of this is information that has to be obtained prior to starting your calculation. So you need to gather all of this information before you can make do this calculation. Full market value at marriage. You can usually get this from realtors. They can give you an estimate of what houses were selling for, maybe even this particular house. The style was sold in a similar neighborhood, whatever. But you need a full market value at marriage, or an estimate as close as possible to that. In this case, we're going to say that it had gone up slightly to $235,000. Now, at the time of divorce, what was the full market value? And it's time of divorce or time of the calculation. And in this case, we're going to say that because of the housing boom that's going on right now, that it has risen to $420,000. You'll see a notes or comments. This is just a place where you can put additional notes or whatever you want in here. You can put the names of the individual that did the appraisals for you. Any of that kind of stuff could be dropped in this notes or comments. And then you just click the calculate button. You get this wonderful printout here that gives you all of the information that you've plugged into the case. And the summary at the top is the most important. It shows you what the present equity is. It shows you what Bob's separate equity is. And then that which is just community, which is divided between the parties. So Bob's former spouse is going to get $60,118.42, while Bob is going to get the 118 plus the 60,000 as his share of the equity. So if the home is sold, that's how that equity would be divided between the parties. And if you have any questions, obviously, feel free to give us a call, and we will do what we can to assist you with doing a Momquist calculation. Thanks.